We live in a time you can no longer take it for granted that your neighbor is a Christian. We live in a time when you can't avoid people who aren't Christian. You know, it used to be you could kind of avoid people who aren't like you much. But how many of you work with folks who are not Christian? How many of you had a conversation with someone who was agnostic or atheist? Muslim? Jehovah's Witness. You haven't tried it, have you? It's tough. As a pastor, it's always been my policy when a Jehovah's Witness comes to my door to invite them in to talk. The first thing I say is, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I love to talk about Jesus. I'm a pastor of the United Methodist Church." Not usually. But the interesting thing is that there are two ways I can do that. I can do that with malice in my heart. Watch me make them squirm. Or I can do it with true openness. If they want to talk, I love to talk about Jesus. I really do. You should love to talk about Jesus too. And if you don't love to talk about Jesus, you need to wonder why. Now, to sow good seed is to smile, is to love. You know, that's what Jesus said. You know, this is one of the reasons why, along with Bishop Wilkie, I don't identify myself with that label as a Bible Christian. Because Jesus didn't say, "They'll know you're my disciples by having the right opinions, or knowing Scripture better than anybody else, or being able to quote from the law and the prophets." He said, "They'll know you are my disciples by how you love each other." How well are we doing at that? One of the things I really enjoyed about annual conference. As I said, this is the most diverse single conference in all of United Methodism. We've got the whole theological spectrum. We've got people from every corner of the world. We've got congregations that are from the West Indies and the Caribbean. We've got congregations who are from India. We've got congregations who are Native American, who are Asian. Oh, by the way, I wanted to share that with you. Because this is... Oh, how do I want to do this? Okay, I'll just do it this way. You know, when I first got here as pastor, we were asked if we could share our facility with another congregation. Fu, United Methodist. Fu was chartered at this annual conference as a congregation. They have 1,050 members. Their average attendance is 400 every Sunday. They're doing that down on 4th Avenue. I wonder if we had unintended consequences of the choice we made not to share our facility with them. Now, they have been obviously very successful. Oh, the other thing about them, they are the youngest congregation by average age in the whole conference. And at annual conference yesterday, when they came to accept their charter, they had 350 people there. Now, that congregation began, as most big congregations today do, with Pastor Payne and his wife planting little seeds in the Chinese community. Now, I don't know whether they're conservative or liberal or somewhere in between. But I know that they're telling the story of Jesus. And they're planting seeds. And they're reaping a harvest. You know, that's what the text says, right? You don't know how it grows. You watch The question is, what do we want to truly be reaping? Are we ready to plant small seeds every place? Work? Play? I know some of you guys play cricket and some of you play tennis and do those kinds of things. Do you find those as opportunities to witness, to plant seeds? You know how you conduct yourself on the field, also plant seeds. Can you be a gracious loser? Can you compete honestly and vigorously and still smile and tell your opponent, oh, that was a good match and you lost? See, you're planting seeds, whether you know it or not. We're all planting seeds all the time. And no seed that we plant is inconsequential. Everything matters. Now here is the really, really good news. The world allows one bad seed to ruin a lot of good seeds. You know how they talk about that, right? The saying is, one bad apple ruins the whole barrel. That's not exactly true. Not all at once, anyway. I mean, if you leave them long enough, one rot will lead to another rot, to another rot. But, you know, you can take the one bad apple out and maybe 2 or 3 are affected, and most of the barrel can still be good. But we like to use hyperbole. So, you know, we say, oh, one bad apple was there. And in the way of the world, it takes a lot of good seeds to overcome one bad seed. But not so with Jesus Christ. With Jesus Christ, one good seed can overcome a whole lifetime of bad seeds. It can change your life in an instant. Now, that doesn't mean you won't still have to deal with the consequences of all the bad seeds you've been sowing. But what I mean is this. The downward spiral of life, for most people, doesn't happen all at once. It happens one small choice at a time. But the upward spiral, while it isn't all at once, it's a dramatic leap from where we are to where we can be when we let Jesus be in charge. See, that's what it means to understand that your choices have consequences. If you let Jesus be in charge, one consequence is a lot of bad stuff can be overcome at once. If you continue to let Jesus be in charge, more and more of the bad seed won't matter. It will be overcome. But you have to keep making the small, everyday choices to let Jesus be in